Merry Christmas everyone. Actually, more like Happy New Year given how late I uploaded this, but hey, I didn't buy this Santa hat for nothing, so a non-consensual Merry Christmas to you. Anyway, you know what else is red besides this hat? That's right, the box for the film stock we're going to be talking about today that comes in a very auspicious and Chinese red, because it is the Chinese film stock. None other than Lucky 200, it has been making waves in the film community for being, well, just a brand new emulsion to come out in 2025, which by itself is already rare and something to be celebrated. As I've mentioned endlessly in my previous videos, making a brand new film stock is very difficult, requiring lots of R&D budget as well as infrastructure, so it is good that we have this new film stock, offering us more choice in today's film market, which is dominated by Kodak. What's even better is that this film stock is apparently pretty good. I made videos on Harman's Phoenix films, which are also new emulsions, and unfortunately they suffer from many image quality issues such as rough grain, color casts, and poor dynamic range. On the contrary, people have been having good experiences with Lucky 200, saying that it delivers rich colors and high resolution, almost on par with Kodak's professional films. Of course, I had to get some to shoot for myself, so I did the usual thing of buying one roll in 35mm and one in 120, and I will be taking some photos on my holiday in Malaysia. While my family was enjoying the tourist attractions like normal people, I was much more interested in the neighbouring attraction, which was an empty-ass plot of land, which is a film photographer's wet dream. It even had abandoned cars. I mean, the film photographer stereotypes write themselves at this point. But yeah, let's get to shooting. It was a bright sunny day and I had to capitalize on the lovely lighting. First impressions. Hold on, why are these images so good? I think the one which really amazed me was this shot. The fact that it was able to capture the blazingly bright sky while still retaining so much shadow detail. This is some really good dynamic range. The sky is a little less saturated than the previous pictures because it's more overexposed so as to capture the shadows, but I am shocked by how well this image holds together. This is like professional film stock levels of dynamic range. I don't want to compare, but I'm going to do it anyway. Lucky 200 is by far superior to Harman Phoenix in so many ways. With Harman Phoenix, the drop in image quality was noticeable, even after I meted differently to account for the slight film levels of dynamic range. Look at the blown out highlights, grain, and halation. But with Lucky 200, I just shot liberally, overexposing as I normally would, and expecting the tolerance of a professional film stock. And it just holds up. Amazing. Let's take another look at the box to find out what is going on here. It's very 90s, Frutiger Aero, Microsoft Word art. Love it. So what do the words say? At last, my Chinese heritage can come into play. Most of the sides of the box just say 200 speed color film, 36 exposure, DX coded, but this side proudly tells us that the film stock has 14 layers. The translation reads, the new Lucky 200 color film features 14 super fidelity layers, resulting in clear and natural images and creating a new way to capture memories. Good stuff. 14 layers means that the film stock is quite technologically advanced, and the images, well, they do speak for themselves. Resolution, grain, latitude. And going back to this image, there is definitely an anti-halation layer in this film stock. No halation with such a backlit subject is crazy. I also found more information about the parent company printed on the box, and Lucky isn't actually primarily a film stock manufacturing company, but rather a state-owned enterprise belonging to the China Aerospace Technology Group Corporation that manufactures, among other things, photosensitive materials. Their website shows that they're clearly doing a whole lot more than just making film, and they also actually have history with Kodak itself, so the lore truly goes deep. What else can I say about the images? First off, the negatives lean very much towards blue and purple, a trend I noticed across all my scans. Applying auto-white balance usually evens that out pretty nicely. As a result of this white balance correction, I've noticed that the way Lucky 200 renders skies makes them lean towards a very pastel cyan, which is actually quite beautiful. However, as exemplified in these street scenes, sometimes there can be these really strong purple casts which take extra effort to correct out. Like, look at these grey walls, they look purple. It also renders greens with a yellowish tinge. Look at the vegetation. In fact, there seems to be a yellowish tinge in the shadows of images overall, as you can see from my shots in this particular alley. Once again, probably attributable to the white balance. Let's test out the 120 roll now. I also recently got an A12 back for my Hasselblad as I was previously on A16, so let's shoot some squares, shall we? We'll be cutting that out. There we go. Put this on. As usual, an increase in the film negative size means more resolution, so the images are even sharper now. Exposure wise, I'm clipping the highlights here to save the shadows. I think it still looks pretty good. There are some occasional blemishes and spots on the images, something that I noticed across both rolls, though it's nothing major. Reviewers brought up the issue of there being blue dots as well as banding on their test rolls, and I am happy to report that this has bit fully resolved in the production variants of this film stock. There's nothing here that's out of the ordinary and can't be cleaned up easily. Except for this one shot in my 35mm roll with this defect, some scratches. It wasn't the last shot of the roll either, so I don't really know what this is supposed to be. Now slide out. 2 seconds, F11, 1000, 2000. The color orange looks very gross in this staircase rubbish shot. I kept trying to tweak it, but I never arrived at a place I was satisfied with, so these are the final colors I'm settling with. Or I could just make it black and white, because that always successfully turns trash into fine art. It was an interesting subject to shoot, but I don't think I knew how to do it well. These abandoned office pictures are nice though. I'm feeling them quite a bit. So I live in Singapore where urbex is basically impossible and abandoned buildings are all like fenced up, so I rarely actually get to see sites like this, and every time I see some abandoned location being photographed in some US photography channel, I always get jealous. It is actually my dream to go to the US one day and just photograph abandoned detritus, but for now, this will have to do. Alright, I need the phone to look through the viewfinder because I can't really see, so... Finally arrived at a composition I'm satisfied with. I'm gonna send it. Okay, dark slide out, mirror lock up, 2 seconds at 11, 1000, 2000. And we're done. These are some really still images, with the assorted items just scattered across the floor in a sort of uniform chaos. What was this space like when it was still full of life? If these walls could talk, imagine the stories it would tell. Back outside, the purple casts happened again here on this shot, again in the desaturated grey areas. I can't remove the cast completely without desaturating certain colors, which I don't want to do, so... Back in Singapore with a few shots left, I realized people didn't really shoot this film stock at night, so I decided to do some testing myself. What do you know? Night scenes are really delightful. The reflections on the floor take the cake, and I followed that up with this scene of a roadside 7-Eleven, which I decided to shoot 3 variants of. One with subjects, one with no people in it, And also this one, which I feel hits harder after a black and white edit. And that's it, we're done. Overall, the way this film interprets colors is definitely natural and not something as out there as Phoenix. I love that. The only annoyance is that there are some oddities in the way of color casts that don't seem very consistent. Either ways, yes, I did find myself needing to do some color correction, but the overall results are definitely still realistic and delightful. I'm a big fan of the pastel, almost cyan-like rendering of the skies. It's very Wes Anderson. Lucky 200 is also very cheap for the performance it delivers. I understand that in the US, Kodak Gold is 7 USD, but where I'm at in Singapore, it's basically double that, 14 USD. And I know it's the same in many other places. And I managed to purchase my Lucky 200 for less than what I would pay for gold, so with that in mind, I can see Lucky 200 being very popular. I'm curious to learn about the availability for this film stock and what it's like in other parts of the world, so please do let me know in the comments. So yeah, Lucky 200 is amazing. This is their debut product in the modern film market and it's already so competitive and good. I can't wait to see what other banging film stocks Lucky can cook up. Maybe a 1600 speed color film or a 400 speed slide film. Lucky, please, you're our only hope. Thank you.